In our top 10 most heartbreaking sounds, a beloved pet whining or crying probably comes right near the top. Hearing your pet cry might be devastating in itself, but what's worse is not knowing what's making them cry. If that's your plight, then you're in luck. We're looking at 10 reasons why your dog might be crying, so let's get started. Number 10, they're under stress. The biggest downside of having a language barrier with your pet is probably the fact that you wouldn't know they're under stress until they start acting out. While some dogs might get agitated, most of them tend to whine or cry when they're placed in stressful situations. No pet parent wants to hear their dog crying, but they feel like there's not much they can do. How would they know their dog is getting anxious until they started whining? It's pretty easy to tell, actually. When dogs start to get anxious, they withdraw from the situation. For example, if your dog is learning a new trick, they might become unresponsive or seemingly disobedient if there's something in the vicinity that triggers their anxiety. It is important for all pet parents to be able to identify signs of stress in their pups immediately. Besides a few known triggers, namely loud noises, flashing lights, and larger dogs, pet parents are required to remember a list of specific triggers for their canine companions. When you've identified those triggers and noticed initial signs of stress in your pet, it's important for you to either alleviate the trigger or take your pet out of a triggering environment. Number 9, when they want something. There's a difference between a pet wanting something out of crankiness and one wanting something out of necessity. For example, your pet might start whining for more food. However, you need to put your foot down and not contribute to their unhealthy habits. In some cases, your pet might be whining or crying for a snack after a particularly active exercise session, in which case it's warranted. They might also require medical aid. The most a dog can do for itself to alleviate pain is to lick their wounds, which is why pet parents need to stay vigilant whenever their pet begins to lick themselves excessively. Remember, if your pet requires something of a necessity like food, aid, and comfort, you need to give it to them immediately. However, you shouldn't spoil your dog with an excess of what they already have, nor should you give up on training them, basic commands that is, when they start to whine. Number 8, when they want attention. Dogs, like humans, want to be tended to all day long, especially from their favorite person, which in this case is you. However, some dogs want your attention 25/8 of the time, which is impossible. It's also impossible for a pet parent to dedicate their entire day towards their pet. They probably want to, but they can't. An idle dog will probably start whining for attention anytime it feels like their pet parent is giving something else precedence over them. A dog that's active, playing around, or engaged in an activity of its own, however, will be less demanding of your attention. Dogs tend to start whining or crying whenever they want you to pay attention to them. Idle dogs tend to whine a whole lot more. Keep your pet busy with exercise, playtime, or with stimulating toys, and you can give them all the love and attention in the world by the time you're done with work. Number 7, to apologize. As much as it might break your heart to scold your pet, experts believe that it's sometimes inevitable to reprimand them for their actions, particularly if these actions could lead to negative consequences for them and for you. For example, pet parents need to be stern with their dogs if their pet rips open a throw pillow. If you let it slide once, your pet will think it's okay to be destructive. It won't be long until they knock down the television set and seriously hurt themselves. When you're stern with your dog might start to whine or cry in a bid to show you that they're sorry. It's important to understand that your pet isn't necessarily apologizing because it realized the importance of a throw pillow, but because it feels upset that you're cross with them. This behavior might actually be ancestral. Wolves who would be shunned by the pack would come back only if they displayed submissive behavior towards their leader, namely bowing their heads down in between their legs. Number 6, separation anxiety. Dogs really are a man's best friend. However, they'll never understand your woes of the capitalist world, the crumbling economy, and the grind of an early retirement. All they can do is sympathize with hugs and cuddles, which is why dogs tend to become particularly emotional every time they see their pet parent walk out the door in the morning. they'll start to whine, cry, or even act out. This is normal. Not particularly the best part of anyone's day, but it's not abnormal for dogs to feel separation anxiety either. The best way to overcome this would be to set up a routine and then stick to it. Leave at a particular time and then come back at a particular time, on the dot. For example, if your dog notices you leaving in the morning and then coming back in the afternoon, it'll correlate the sun's position with when they expect you back. This, in a way, soothes them because they know you'll be back eventually. What this also means is that you would have to try your utmost to stick to the schedule. If you deviate from it, your pet will start to act out. Number 5. Digestive issues. Unfortunately, your pet can't walk up to you and let you know it has a tummy ache. It would definitely make things a whole lot easier, but technology hasn't come that far yet. If your pet is in any type of pain, particularly having digestive issues, foreign bodies lodged in their gut, gastric reflex, or anything of that sort, they'll come up to you and start to whine. Whining or crying wouldn't necessarily indicate what's wrong, but it'll allow you to understand that your pet needs some sort of assistance. Is this assistance medical? You'll conclude based on your pet's habits throughout the day. Are they eating right? Are they excreting right? And so forth. Number 4. Lack of training. Dogs do not confer to the same sleeping schedule as humans. While some pet parents have managed to get their dogs to sleep at night and stay active during the day, the truth is that they'll sleep and wake up on their own terms. You might be accustomed to an 8-hour sleep every night, but your pet isn't. If your pet wakes up before you do, they might try to get your attention in one way or another. Some pets, in this case, would whine or cry to get you to notice that they're awake. Other pets are a lot more intrusive and would climb up in bed with you. However, with proper training, you'll be able to make your pet understand not to bother you while you sleep. If you let their whining and crying slide one too many times, they'll start to think it's normal for them to get your attention that way. Number 3. Eye infections and corneal ulcers. More often than not, dogs cry over minuscule things such as wanting more food, attention, and such. However, you should never let the whining go unnoticed. Sounds are the only way they can communicate with you. Even if you believe there's nothing amiss, it's still important to do your due diligence before dismissing anything. In a few cases, dogs will start to cry and whine when they either have an eye infection or a corneal ulcer. These ulcers are incredibly painful and can end up blocking tear ducts. An eye infection would be accompanied with reddening of the eye, itchiness, and even a foreign body lodged near their eye. If you feel like your pet has been crying excessively and is in visible pain, take them to a vet immediately. Number 2. Allergies. Pets come with health cards of their own. They have designated vets to take care of them, and they should have routine checkups just like their humans would. Pet parents need to know common health conditions affecting their particular breed of dog, plus any specific conditions for the dog. For example, is your pet allergic to anything? Allergies could be specific, nuts and crustaceans, or they could be seasonal, pollen. As a responsible pet parent, you need to keep yourself updated with what might cause your pet discomfort and update their health cards accordingly. Number 1. Loneliness. Puppies that feel lonely will often tell you so by crying. This isn't to say that you haven't been giving them any love and attention, but that they require more of it. Particularly younger dogs, puppies will feel lonely when left alone, especially if their mother isn't around. Experts suggest giving your puppy your utmost love and attention until they're about 8 months to a year old. While they're small and frail, you need to tend to them a whole lot more than you would have for an adult dog. All right, what are some reasons you've noticed your pet shed tears over? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like the video, subscribe to INFORAMA, and we'll see you in the next one.